Coming up, the Mets and Braves battle it out for the lead in the NL East, and the Guardians pick up a game on the White Sox. This is Locked On Now MLB.
The biggest games, the best performances, expert analysis. You are Locked On Now.
Welcome in. You're listening to Locked On Now MLB, local experts weighing in on the biggest stories in baseball. I'm your host, Kainani Stevens. Thank you for making Locked On Now your first listen every single weekday. We've got our Locked On MLB hosts here. They're going to recap all of the action for you from Monday in Major League Baseball, but we start with the New York Mets, who managed to hold off the Braves in yesterday's biggest game.
The biggest game.
The Mets picked up a win over the reigning champs thanks to a stellar day on the mound for Max Scherzer. As Scherzer's ERA drops closer to an even 2, Locked On Mets has the recap from the start of a huge series for the NL East.
The New York Mets found a way to beat their division rival, the Atlanta Braves, in Game 1 of this pivotal series. Max Scherzer was brilliant. The offense did just enough. Louis Guillorme with the big late home run that gave the Mets some insurance. The Mets got a little more insurance late. Edwin Diaz lights out in the ninth. This is exactly the way you wanted this series to start off. This is Ryan Finkelstein, the host of Locked On Mets, and on the show tomorrow, I'll be talking about Scherzer's brilliance for one, because what he did tonight in his second start back from rehab, basically made one mistake all night, giving up a home run to Austin Riley, and that's all the Braves would muster offensively. To see that, to see the way Guillorme played, to see the way the Mets grinded at bats and worked their way through it. I know you want to see more runs scored, but in this outing against a really good team with really good pitching, they did what they had to. They continue to assert their dominance in this division. Now they have to get one of these last two games to win this series and feel really good about themselves heading into the break, but this was a great first step.
The Giants had the bases loaded, trailing by a run to the Diamondbacks in the 8th inning before a double play dashed their hopes of a victory. Locked On Giants reviews Monday's late game in the Bay Area.
Brandon Crawford was so good last season that he actually finished fourth in National League MVP voting. He had a 139 weighted runs created plus over 6 Fangraphs wins above replacement, but that is not how it's going this year. Ben Kaspick with the Locked On Giants podcast. Brandon Crawford, it's no secret. He's struggled this year offensively and defensively as well. And tonight, against an inferior Arizona Diamondbacks team, no offense, he had a chance to be an MVP and carry this team to victory. Giants were rallying. They had the bases loaded, 1 out, tying run on third, go-ahead run on second, 8th inning, and Crawford at the plate. And last year he came through, and last year the Giants came through. But this year it's a double play. It was a 2-0 count, and not only did Crawford hit the ball on the ground, which he was absolutely trying to avoid, but he also wasn't fast enough to beat out the throw to first. He was out by just a fraction of an inch. And so that's just how it's gone this year, just not quite enough for the Giants. But a steep fall for Brandon Crawford. It's just been a rough year for him, and they kind of need him to come through in those types of situations. So we'll talk about all of this on tomorrow's Locked On Giants, where it's your team every day.
The Pirates beat the Marlins in the series opener in Miami thanks to shutdown stuff from starter Mitch Keller. Our Locked On Pirates host tells you how Pittsburgh took the win in the 305.
Well, the Pittsburgh Pirates have won 3 out of their last 4 games as they go into Miami to begin the 4-game set, winning against the Miami Marlins 5-1 behind a phenomenal outing from Mitch Keller, who continues to bring his ERA down. He's below 5 now, but with the way he's been pitching lately, you wouldn't even know he was that high. 7 innings, 5 Ks, only 5 hits, 1 earned run, and then Chase DeYoung and Yuri De Los Santos come on to finish the job. Michael Chavis, Kevin Newman has a big day, by the way, 3 for 5. Diego Castillo with 2 RBIs. Jake Marisnick, who comes up for the injured Brian Reynolds with 2 RBIs and 2 runs in this game. Just an overall good game. Even Jason DeLay gets in on the action. Key Brian Hayes gets a hit. Just an overall good game for the Pittsburgh Pirates to start this 4-game set as we're closing in on All-Star Week. The Pirates 37 and 50 now. at this point, you really got to just continue to move forward and maybe go into the All-Star break hot and see what happens when you come back out. But the Pirates went 5-1 in Miami. You can raise the Jolly Roger in Miami, Florida. And on tomorrow's episode, me and Peter Pratt will be recapping the actions of tonight as well as previewing the rest of the series in Miami. With that said, guys, I'm your host, Ethan Smith, and I will see you on the flip side.
Coming up, the Rangers hold off the A's after a scare. This is Locked On Now MLB. Today's edition of Locked On Now is brought to you by Built Bar. They're the best tasting protein bars on the market. They are low in fat, low in calories, low in sugar, but high in protein, and they're all made with 100% real chocolate. They come in dozens of different flavors, including their newest one, Coconut Brownie Chunk. So check that out. And of course, if you go to built.com, you can use our promo code LOCKED15, gets you 15% off of your order. Just put in LOCKED15 as your code at built.com. Welcome back to Locked On Now MLB. I'm Kainani Stevens. Thanks for making Locked On Now your first listen every weekday. The Cleveland Guardians took the first game of a big series against the White Sox as we continue our look around the league.
Let's go around the league.
The Guardians scored 5 runs in the first inning of their game yesterday, more than the White Sox would put up all game long. Locked On Guardians tells you what you need to know from the win over Chicago.
Well, I want to thank the Cleveland Guardians for giving me a win on my birthday, and that's always much appreciated. Stories in this one clearly stand out. Franmil Reyes, stolen base. Go watch it if you missed it. It is worth your time. He also had 3 hits and continues his hot play since his return from the disabled list, following the same story of a year ago. Nolan Jones has been on fire since he was promoted. 2 hits today, including the only extra base hit. The Guardians scored 8 runs, but only had 1 extra base hit thanks to Nolan Jones. Miles Straw with a multi-hit game. 3 hit batters for the Guardians. Quantrell was up and down in this one, but Trevor Stephan came in, had a big double play to get out of a bit of a jam in the 7th inning, and after that it was easy sailing. Cleveland Guardians beat the Chicago White Sox, been a common theme this year, and they move back to 500. We'll see if they can continue to build off of this and get a few games over 500 before the All-Star break begins.
In a huge series for the White Sox, Chicago couldn't find a rhythm and dropped a game to Cleveland team right above them in the AL Central standings. Locked On White Sox wants Chicago to turn it around before missing out on the chance to jump ahead of Cleveland.
The Chicago White Sox lost to the Cleveland Guardians Monday night, 8-4. This was the start of one of the most critical weeks of the year for the Chicago White Sox. 8 games in 7 days against the Guardians and the Minnesota Twins. Things not starting out very well at all. White Sox starter Lance Lynn went 4 innings for the Sox. 4 innings. That's not going to cut it at all. Aside from a Yoan Moncada 3-run homer, White Sox offense had nothing going on. They were flat. They were lifeless. They have to come right back tomorrow. It's a double header on Tuesday. And they've got to show some life to get back on track.
The Texas Rangers have stressed out their fans plenty over the last couple of weeks, and it wasn't a stress-free win over the A's on Monday. But Locked On Rangers is just happy to pick up a win after things got pretty scary late.
Thank the good Lord the Rangers didn't blow it. Texas beats Oakland 10-8, way closer than it ever should have been in what should have been an absolute thrashing of this Oakland A's team. I'm Bryce Patrick, host of Locked On Rangers podcast. This was a huge offensive day for the Rangers, a big day for Corey Seager, for Josh Smith, who got his first career Major League home run, and of course it was an inside the Parker. Nearly started a triple play. Really great game from him. Best game ball, in my opinion, would probably go to Spencer Howard, who had his best start since becoming a Texas Ranger. 5 innings, only 1 earned run, 2 runs total. Only allowed the 1 strikeout, but, solid day for, one guy out of the bullpen. Jose Leclerc went 2 perfect innings, but Colby Allard, just absolutely horrendous outing in this one. Only got a third of an inning, allowed 4 hits, 5 earned runs. 5 earned runs, 2 home runs. Just this game was completely out of reach. The Rangers were leading 10-2, but the A's drop a 6 spot in the 8th inning make it much, much closer than it needs to be. Brett Martin comes in, gets the save with a pair of runners on. The tying runs were on base in the 9th inning of a game the Rangers led 10-2. They took some of their starters out because, this game is pretty much over. It was not over, folks, but it should have been over. It's fine. It's fine. We're all fine here. Solid day for Luis Taveras, who set a career high with 3 RBIs and 3 hits in a single game. He has looked fantastic as of late, has an OPS over 800 while playing that elite center field defense. Ends up being a much more sweaty, nerve-wracking game than it needed to be, but a win's a win, and at this point, I will take as many as I can get.
That's all for today on Locked On Now MLB. Thank you for making Locked On Now your first listen every single weekday. Now that you're done here, make sure you go and check out Locked On MLB and your team's Locked On podcast. I'm Kainani Stevens. This has been Locked On Now.